In our last video, we talked about turning your personal values into meaningful goals. But here's the problem. Most goals fail, not because they're bad goals, but because people never design the systems and habits that make these goals achievable. So today, we're going to look at how to bridge the gap between intention and action by creating systems and habits that actually stick. Welcome back to Digital Perivalon and our Living Intentionally series. So far, we've gone from living by design to uncovering your values, to setting goals that reflect those values. But here's the reality. Setting goals is easy. Living them out consistently, that's where most of us stumble. That's why, in part 4, we're going to explore the power of systems and habits, the invisible architecture that turns your goals into reality. Let's think about New Year's resolutions. By February, most people have given up. Not because they didn't want the goal badly enough, but because they relied on motivation instead of system. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, puts it perfectly. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your habits are what determine whether your goals stay on the page or actually shape your life. Let's break it down. Goals are the outcomes. And a good example would be, I want to run a 10-kilometer run. Systems are about processes. An example would be, I will follow a training plan that builds kilometers gradually. If your system is sound, the goal almost becomes inevitable. In other words, goals set the direction, but systems create the momentum. So how do you actually build habits that support your goals? Psychologists talk about the habit loop. So firstly, there's got to be a cue. That's the trigger that starts the habit. Secondly, a routine, the behavior itself. And third, a reward, the positive feeling that reinforces it. So for example, the cue for me is always putting my runners next to the door. The routine is that I go for a jog. The reward is that I feel energized and satisfied and that I'm able to complete the 10-kilometer fun runs. The more you repeat this loop, the stronger the habit becomes. Here are 3 practical tools that come from James Clear's book Atomic Habits. Firstly, habit stacking. Link a new habit to something you already do. Example, after I make my morning coffee, I'll spend 5 minutes journaling. Second, environment design. Make good habits easier and bad habits harder. Example, want to read more? Keep a book on your bedside table. Want less screen time? Charge your phone in the kitchen rather than the bedroom. Thirdly, identity-based habits. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. Don't just say, I want to run. Say, I am a runner. As James Clear explains, every action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. For me, one of my values is health. My goal was to increase my energy, lose weight and reduce stress. But I struggle until I build the system. I started small, 10-minute walks every day, shoes by the door, no excuses. That small habit grew into longer walks, then runs, then workouts. Over time, the system carried me, even on days when I didn't feel motivated. That's the power of habits. They carry you forward when motivation fades. So here's your challenge this week. Pick one of the goals you created in the last video, write down the daily or weekly habits that would support it, and choose one of those habits and design your first system. What's the cue? What's the routine? And what's the reward? Remember, small habits, repeated consistently, create massive results over time. In the next episode, we'll take this even further, because habits aren't just about actions, they're about identity. We'll explore how to shift your self-image so that intentional living becomes who you are, not just what you do. So if you're ready to keep building an intentional life, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in part 5. Thanks for watching.